A pretty exciting day. We're going to be learning how to code for the web. It's easy to do. Anyone can do it. Just takes practice and repetition as with anything else. And I'll show you how we're going to set up our web pages in class this term and kind of the way that we'll organize these files so that the rest of the tutorials from here on out make sense to you. I'm using Notepad++ for my text editor. You can use whichever one that you choose, but if yours looks a little bit different, if you're using a different text editor, that's why, but they all work just about the same. I created a folder on my desktop and I called it Web1 Projects. So you should probably do the same thing. And then in that folder, I'm going to make another folder. All right, and in here, I am going to call this skeleton page. And this is just going to be all lowercase, all one word. Just to make things easier on me later on. So you should again do the same. Don't go rogue on me here and kind of follow this as I'm doing it, so it'll make work later on simpler for you. So that folder is there. Again, Web1 Projects, skeleton page, all lowercase, all one word. It's inside the Web1 Projects. Each one of these folders that we add in here through this class is going to be like housing its own website, if you will, locally on our machines. And then in another video I will show you how we will upload those to turn them in for our class. So now that that is done, I can minimize that folder and I'm in Notepad++. So the basic structure of an HTML page, we just start off with angle brackets, which is your less than and greater than sign. Most web coders will call them angle brackets. And then we're going to put in an exclamation mark. And then in all caps, I'm going to type in doctype space and then all lowercase HTML. All right, and then once I have that done, I have something on here. Then I'm going to go ahead and actually save my progress so far. So to do that, I'll go up here to File and Save As, and I'm going to find that folder that I created. Again, yours might be in a different location. Mine is going to be in my Web1 Projects folder, which is on my desktop, so I can find it easier when I'm making these tutorials. And in here I have my skeleton page, so I'll navigate into there. And then down here where it says Save As Type, again, it's a little different with each text editor, but for Notepad++, I have to go here first, Save As Type, Hypertext Markup Language file, and in all lowercase, index.html. Some of the text editors don't require to use .html in there. This version of this one does for me for whatever reason. So index.html. And any page we ever create, especially where it's the only page in the site, we're going to name it index.html. Later on we'll learn when we have multiple pages for a site we can use different names then. But your home page, always, for no exceptions, has to be called index.html in that folder. So don't call it anything else, index.html. Then we'll click Save. And then we'll notice up here in your little file tree, it should say Desktop Web Project Skeleton Page Index.html. All right, so we got our doctype HTML at the very top of the page. Okay, then underneath that, I'm going to use some more angle brackets, and I'm going to type in HTML. And this is the tag that dictates everything that's going to be coding onto our page. I'll press return a few times to give myself a little bit of breathing room. Generally, there are a few exceptions to this, but most of the time when you have a tag that you use here in your HTML code, you open it and then you close it. There are a few exceptions, but most of them will be this way. So you close the tag by putting a little slash and then HTML. You'll see on here on Notepad++, it highlights them both, and it selects everything in there as like a connecting red line. All right, so this is our HTML code, and there's two main parts to our page. The first one is called the head. So I'll use angle brackets here, angle brackets down here, and I'll close the head. I kind of think of this as a diagram of like BB-8 or R2-D2 from Star Wars. There's a head and a body, right? So the head section, this is going to be anything that is like information for your browser, is kind of how I remember it. And it's not necessarily going to be things that we see. One of the things up here that we'll put in this is going to be the title. So I'll use angle brackets and title. And in HTML, it doesn't matter where you close it necessarily. It doesn't have to be down below it like we did there, but where the title is generally short, I usually open and close the title in one line, just because it makes it easier for you to read while I'm creating my tutorials, is the main reason why I do it that way. All right, and the title is what's going to show up in the tab or in the browser window of your web page. So for example, this one I might just say skeleton page. Just a real empty skeleton of almost kind of like a simple template for starting a page. And these kind of elements will go on all of our pages that we make for the most part. So we got that. Then underneath the title, then this is going to be one of those exceptions where we don't have an opening and closing of it. This is our meta care set. And then I'm going to put in an equal sign and then quotation marks. And in these quotation marks, I'm going to type in UTF-8. And then after those quotation marks goes a slash. Basically, this is like, it encodes our characters that we use for typing for our page. So the symbols and everything we use when we type on the keyboard, from letters to if we're using entity codes for like a copyright symbol or anything like that. In order for those to show up how we intend them to, then we have to use that in our head section on there. Okay, that's all for the head section. Then underneath that, I'll press enter. I'll use angle brackets for body, and I'll close the body. And for our page here, I'm just going to introduce two elements that are on all pages. One of them on here is going to be the H1. This is your main heading. Shows up as large text. And I'm going to type in this title of my page. We'll keep it very simple. All right, and then underneath that, I can use my paragraph tag. And that's just with the simple lowercase p, and then I close it right there. And then here I will type in, like, this is some text that is related to my heading. Easy enough, right? Alright, so all of that is there. I'm going to use the old Control S to save this, to save my progress. And I'm ready to preview my page. So let's go ahead and move this over here to the side. And if I go to my Web1 projects folder that I had and open up my skeleton page and open up the index, then I can look at this on here and we'll check out our code. So we said for the title, skeleton page. I look over here in the little tab of my browser, and it might be slightly different depending on what browser is your default to opener on there. So it says skeleton page right up here. And then right here is my H1, my heading, title of my page. You can see that big text right there. And then underneath that we have the paragraph. This is some text related to my heading. This is some text related to my heading. There's the page. We have our doc type, we have our HTML tag, we have a head, and we have a body. And it's simple as that. So follow along with that tutorial. type that up using your text editor that you wish to use and have it saved, and double check that it is saved as an HTML. And congratulations, you made your first web page. Pretty exciting. In our next tutorial, I will show you one way where you can upload this to have it viewed online. Appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.